Welcome to Hart County Public Library Outreach Virtual Storytime. We are so glad that you could join us.
Santa Retires by Biedrzycki. Just because I wear a red suit and make toys, everyone thinks I'm jolly. Oh, I'm happy when I'm making toys. But when I have to deliver them, forget it. Sacks are getting bigger. Chimneys are getting smaller. And you never know what the weather will throw at you. Then, one day after Christmas, Mrs. Claus showed me something we got in the mail. We liked what we saw. We packed our bags, put the elves in charge, and kissed the reindeer goodbye. Mrs. Claus and I went to the airport and waited in line. We didn't want anyone to recognize us. I thought we looked pretty cool. It was hot and sunny when we arrived at Mistletoe Island. I was feeling better already. Mr. Tinsel showed us around the place. He said I reminded him of someone, but he couldn't remember who. I couldn't wait to hit the pool. It had been a long time since I had been in a swimming pool. It had been a long time since I had done a cannonball. I needed to lose weight. So we started playing tennis. Mrs. Claus was really good. We did lots of yoga. We went for long walks on the beach. I even took dance lessons. We were eating well and getting in shape. This was the life. Mrs. Claus and I talked about making Mistletoe Island our new home. Then the reindeer showed up. They wanted to party, but I had a better idea. I took them surfing. Rudolph could really hang 10, but we had to rescue Blitzen. That night, Mrs. Claus served up a healthy meal. I figured it was the perfect time to tell the reindeer I was going to retire. They didn't take the news very well. The reindeer sadly went back to the North Pole. Mrs. Claus and I went back to swimming, surfing, and yoga. But things just weren't the same. I missed my team. And look at the postcards. One says, "I miss you, Santa," signed Blitzen. One says, "We had fun, Santa," signed Prancer. And the last one says, "I need a hug, Santa. Love, Rudolph." I tried taking a cooking class, but I wasn't very good at making a souffle. I wasn't very good at tennis either. I was good at making toys, and I just wasn't jolly anymore. That's when I picked up a newspaper. Things weren't looking good up at the North Pole. The newspaper says Santa retires. Elves not getting job done. Mrs. Claus and I headed straight for the airport. When we returned to the North Pole, we found the reindeer wouldn't eat, toys were missing parts or had too many parts, and the sleigh had become home to a family of polar bears. Mrs. Claus and I rolled up our sleeves and got to work. By Christmas Eve, the reindeer were ready. So were the toys and the sleigh. It was a beautiful sight. I was feeling jolly again. I've decided not to retire just yet, But we did decide to take a vacation every year. Mistletoe Island, here we come.